wish I met you money before, but I wish I met you before. I wish I met you before. Morning afternoon, feeling it does set up my soul. Neo, drift, track, let's go. Big busy on this. Wakani Kanyamata. Come love.
KFM is everywhere. The KFM News and The KFM News. Let's work together to all the Chapman play. The KFM News. The KFM News. If it matters to you, it matters to us. The KFM News. If it matters to you, it matters to us.
Good afternoon and welcome to the KFM News at 13 hours. To read the news, my name is Vincent Kapungwe. We take a look at the stories making headlines in our news this afternoon. EFF leader says giving away toll plazas to foreigners is economic sabotage. Chief Chumese installs new village head woman in Kaoma. Head woman means so she urges government to address Katanta Bridge and Kasamba Road problems. The WFP launches probe into Sudan's operations as FEMA in Ridge Zone is our international lead story. And in sports, Chipolo Polo set to face Ivory Coast without two key players.
The KFM News. If it matters to you, it matters to us.
And now the news in detail. Economic Freedom Fighters President Kasonde Mwenda has described as grand corruption and economic sabotage the transfer of three of Zambia's toll plazas that include Katuba, Manyumbi, and Kafulafuta into foreign hands. In a statement to KFM News, Mr. Mwenda is outraged that government has clandestinely transferred the profitable Katuba, Manyumbi, and Kafulafuta toll plazas into foreign hands. He said the decision was not only betrayal to Zambians, but Zambia's trust, but a glaring example of government that prioritized foreign profits over national interests.
Which collectively generate over $40 million, have been instrumental in funding vital services such as poverty alleviation programs, medicines for public hospitals, school support, and road maintenance. This decision is not only a betrayal of the Zambian people, but a glaring example of a government that prioritizes foreign profits over national interest. This transfer, done in the shadows and without the consent and knowledge of the Zambian public, happening only few months after the commencement of a few earthworks on the highway. The top plazas in question, which were built with the Zambian resources and have been crucial in generating revenue for the country, are now being handed over to a foreign consortium that has contributed nothing but is said to make millions. This move is a blatant act of economic sabotage. What is even more disheartening is that the revenue from these top plazas will no longer benefit the Zambian people, but will instead line the pockets of foreign entities that had no role in the construction or maintenance of these top plazas.
Chief Chumese of the Ushi people has officially installed Priska Chilufya as village head woman Kaoma number 7. Speaking at the installation ceremony, the traditional leader urged the community to work closely with Ms. Chilufya and bring all concerns that village head persons represent the chief in their communities in his chiefdom. He called on head persons to protect their villages and address issues of excessive alcohol abuse and behaviors that are inimical to society's well-being. The traditional leader further called on village communities to collaborate with the village head person to ensure that all newcomers to the villages are registered in the official village register books. The government has been urged to urgently address the deteriorating state of Katanta Bridge and the poor condition of Kasamba Road. Speaking to KFM News, Headman Minsoshi says residents face many challenges when crossing the Mansa River on the dilapidated bridge. He highlighted that despite we need to listen to Chief Chimase's speech.
Napenda ukulu wa mushi kama yaba wa Priska Chilufya na wakulu wa mushi namba 7. Isa kwa ula makarata yo. Wale isa ngenkarate foko kwa lekala. Mwalondolero bumi bwakwe anika walala alichakolowa alindoshi. Mwaisa ishalo mefyo kusha musenda efya kumusunga echo ibokwele alipela mayo.
The government has been urged to urgently address the deteriorating state of the Katanta Bridge and the poor condition of Kasamba Road. Speaking to KFM News, Headman Minsoshi says the residents have faced many challenges when crossing the Mansa River on the dilapidated bridge. He highlighted that despite repeated complaints from the locals, stakeholders, no meaningful action has been taken to improve the area's road infrastructure. Maintenance of the crossing point and grading and upgrading of the road.
Papamu abakasamba zone natukwate ekintu ekingi kire kusha ulina ngende yakasamba mwali bo bwafya kitalona kukwali bo bwafya kyatwenda keyinga ishira twendamo yakero bwafya sana tatwakwata musebo tatwakwata bulalo tatwakwata obulalo kakuya kulina mwanzo kyonse ekyo tuleleka na mkeni kyabaka nabesa bantu makaunsela kiyamona abakujebo tulelanja kupaka tanda keswa kanshibonse tuleba abayikatana ndio mdibo wa msango wetu wa mfika baendela panga twagombela panga bagombela kyapanga.
Agriculture Minister Ruben Agriculture Minister Ruben Mutolo has dispelled assertions by some sections of society that the aflatoxin detected in some mealie brands is from the maize that government is importing from Tanzania. And Mr. Mutolo has assured consumers that the problem of aflatoxin in some mealie and animal feed is insignificant and will soon be controlled as necessary control measures have been instituted. Speaking to Phoenix News, Mr. Mutolo has clarified that none of the maize so far imported for the food relief program has been distributed anywhere. He explains that the aflatoxin reported in some mealie brands is as a result of failure by some millers to buy maize with the maximum recommended moisture content of 12.5%. The Agricultural Minister adds that the reported aflatoxin should also serve as a lesson to people who are in the habit of compelling every marketing season over the delay by the Food Reserve Agency to start maize purchases, saying it is done to avoid such incidences. Lunta Member of Parliament Mutotwe Kafwaya has thrown his support behind the former President Edgar Lungu on his call for discipline and professionalism in the civil service, stressing that such values are key to Zambia's progress. During a recent address at a political rally, President Lungu made a clarion call to the public servants to uphold the integrity of the civil service and reminded those engaged in misconduct to think twice before making or accepting to do any action that goes against the law. Honorable Kafwaya, a former civil servant himself, reflected on President Lungu's words and emphasized how crucial it is for government employees to maintain professionalism in a country where the public service is at the heart of the economy. Honorable Kafwaya acknowledged that President Lungu's statement is bound to stir debate due to the former president's lasting influence, yet stood firm in his agreement with President Lungu's message. He further encouraged the civil servants to make the right choices. He says President Lungu's words are a timely reminder to the civil servants across the country that professionalism, discipline, and integrity should be at the forefront of the public service as they are essential to the nation's development. The Leadership Movement President Richard Silumbe has said that it will be very hard for the UPND to deliver free and fair elections in 2026. He says based on the way that they have conducted themselves in all of the by-elections which have taken place since they formed government, the ruling party will not deliver a credible election. Dr. Silumbe said violent cadres have always resurfaced at all by-elections and that they have taken place around the country to an extent of blocking people from filing in their nominations and beating the electoral officers. He said the UPND promised to end cadreism, but in by-elections, cadres suddenly resurfaced and manning all polling stations with their unruly behavior. He further noted a continued machination of electoral rules to favor themselves at every stage, going to the extent of even stopping voters they presume will not vote for the ruling party. Mines and Minerals Development Permanent Secretary Hapenga Kabeta has disclosed that government is considering a new licensing equipment which would compel major mining investors to establish their own power plants to ensure greater energy reliability. Dr. Kabeta has told Phoenix News that the proposed policy aims at reducing the dependency on of the mining sectors on the national electricity grid, which has faced frequent outages and capacity constraints. He explains that currently the national grid is overburdened and often unreliable for the intensive energy needs of the mining operations. Hence, such a policy would ensure a more stable and uninterrupted energy supply critical for the high energy demands of the mining sector. Dr. Kabeta is hopeful that this could in turn lead to the creation of more jobs and stimulate local industries and contribute to overall national development. We take a break. When we return in international and sports news, WFP launches probe into Sudan's operations as the famine spread. And Chipolopolo set to face Ivory Coast without two key players against Sierra Leone and Ivory Coast. We have more after a quick break.
The KFM News. If it matters to you, it matters to us.
And now for the rest of the news. In international news, the United Nations World Food Programme is investigating two of its top officials in Sudan over allegations including fraud and concealing information from the donors about its ability to deliver food aid to civilians amid the nation's dire hunger crisis, according to 11 people with knowledge of the probe. The investigation by the WFP's Office of the Inspector General, OIG, comes as the UN's food aid arm is struggling to feed millions of people in the war-plagued Sudan, now suffering one of the world's most severe food shortages in years. As part of the probe, investigators are looking at whether the WFP staff sought to hide the alleged role of Sudan's army in obstructing aid amid a brutal 16th-month war with a rival paramilitary for control of the country, according to 5 of the sources who spoke to Reuters. One of those being examined in the inquiry is WFP's Deputy Country Director in Sudan, Khalid Osman, who has been given a temporary duty assignment outside Sudan, a de facto suspension according to 6 sources. At least 9 Palestinians have been killed by Israeli forces in the north of occupied West Bank, Palestinian health officials say. However, the true figure could be higher, with Palestinian officials earlier saying that at least 11 people had been killed since the Israeli operation began at midnight local time. The Israeli security forces said they were carrying out a counter-terrorism operation to thwart terror in Jenin and Talkam. This appears to be a major Israeli operation, with at least 4 Palestinian cities being targeted at the same time: Jenin, Talkam, Nablus, and Tubas. It's believed to be the first time since the second Intifada, a major Palestinian uprising of 2000 to 2005, that several Palestinian cities have been targeted, and simultaneously in this way. Palestinian reports say that the main roads into Jenin have been closed off with armed clutches in the city's refugee camp. And now sports news. Chipolopolo boss Avram Grant is set to announce his squad for the back-to-back Africa Cup of Nations qualifiers today. The Israeli gaffer will be without 2 of his dependable players, Leicester City's forward Patson Daka and defender Frankie Msonda. Daka underwent surgery after suffering an ankle injury in Leicester's final pre-season game with Lens. Meanwhile, Frankie Msonda will be out for 6 weeks after limping off of Ayer's 3-1 win over Hamilton. Msonda has been a constant figure at the heart of Chipolopolo's defense, making a strong partnership with Stopila Sunzu. Without Daka, Kenneth Msonda could be the mantle to lead the attack. Lamek Banda and Cletus Chamachota, who missed the 2 games also due to injury, are now back and expected to be part of the squad. Zambia play away to Ivory Coast in Baweke on the 6th of September before hosting Sierra Leone in Ndola on September 10th. The match day 3 and 4 will be played between October 7th and 15th, and will see Zambia face Chad in back-to-back games, in N'Djamena hosting the second match. And the November window will see the final 2 matches, with the Copper Bullets tie against the Elephants. The final Group G fixture will be against Sierra Leone in Freetown. The top 2 countries in each group will qualify for the 35th edition of the Africa Cup of Nations in Morocco. As we come to the end of the news, we take a look at the stories making headlines once again.
The KFM News. If it matters to you, it matters to
EFF leader says giving away of toll plazas to foreigners is economic sabotage. Chief Chimase installs a new village headwoman in Kauma village. Headwoman means so she urges government to address the Katanta Bridge and Kasamba Road. In international news, WFP launches probe into its Sudan operations as a famine spreads. And in sports news, Chipolopolo is said to face Ivory Coast without 2 of its key players, Patson Daka and Frank Msonda. the news at 13. Thank you for joining us and have a lovely afternoon.
The Kevin News.
Justice is a matter of peace. Without justice, peace cannot prevail.
The Kevin News.
Let's work together to end the Chapamon quarrel.
The Kevin News. The Kevin News. If it matters to you, it matters to us.